Grab your coffee and your controllers, my friends. Today, we're looking at one of the first 32-bit CD consoles, Sega's Saturn system. The development of the Saturn began in 1992, and it was released in 1995. In an industry still dominated by cartridges, this was huge. Sega chose a CD-ROM format because CDs had more storage space and were, well, cheaper to develop. The system was designed around a new CPU from Hitachi. But when rumblings started about what Sony was planning for their upcoming PlayStation, Sega pivoted and added another video display processor to boost 2D performance and improve 3D texture mapping. Now, here's where things get messy. Sega had just released the 32X add-on for the Genesis in November of 1994 to introduce Genesis players to the 32-bit era. One day later, the Saturn launched in Japan. It did well and gave Sega an early lead over Sony. The American release of the Saturn was scheduled for September of 1995 and was actually dubbed Saturn's Day. But Sega of Japan, eager to stay ahead, secretly moved the American launch up to May 11th, 1995 at the E3 trade show. At E3, Sega went first for presentations and announced the Saturn was available now. They had shipped only 30,000 units to select stores like Toys R Us, and the price? $399. Major retailers like Walmart and Best Buy were left out of this shipment and were not happy. Developers were also upset because they weren't ready with games. And 30,000 units for all of America? That's not a lot. Then Sony took the stage. The head of Sony Computer Entertainment walked up for what was called a brief speech. And brief it was. He stepped up to the mic and simply said $299, then walked off the stage. This wasn't just a random number, it was the price of the new PlayStation, $100 cheaper than the Saturn. And just like that, Sega's momentum started to slip. The Saturn struggled in the US, and the complicated hardware made it harder for developers to create games compared to the PlayStation. While it had some incredible titles and a loyal fan base, the commercial failure hurt Sega badly. The Saturn struggles led directly into the short lifespan of the Dreamcast, and eventually Sega stepped away from making consoles altogether. But the Saturn's legacy still matters. It represents the moment the industry fully shifted to CDs and 3D gaming, and it marks the beginning of Sony's dominance in the console market. So, sip your coffee, and remember, sometimes history turns on a single word. In this case, a 3-digit number. Bye!